Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to today's lesson on fun facts in English. So today we're going to be talking about important things to remember in English. For those of you who are in the chat, please could you let me know if you can hear me and say hello and let me know how your day is, what you are doing, and what your plans are for the weekend. Are any of you doing anything special? Hello, Elodie. It's lovely to have you here. Thank you very much for joining. What are your plans for the weekend, Elodie? Are you doing anything special? While we wait for a couple more students to join, let's just have a small discussion quickly. Okay, so for me, I think this weekend I'm going to try and do some work and just relax and enjoy the nice weather we have here in Paris. Hello, Jamel. It's lovely to meet you. Enchanté. Okay, so I think we can start the lesson now. It's nearly 3 o'clock. Thank you very much for those of you who have joined. And I would just like to quickly say we are a company based in Paris. We focus on business English, and it is our job to try and help you become as proficient as you can in speaking English in your job or if you go on a holiday to speak English. Hello, those of you who are just joining. And if you are interested, if you have CPF, we can offer you free one-to-one lessons where we can help your English improve in the business sector and if you ever go on a holiday to an English-speaking country. So please read the description below if you have some time. And if you haven't, please subscribe. So when you subscribe, it means that you get daily alerts for each lesson which is planned. So it makes sure you don't miss a lesson with us and it helps you improve your English. So thank you very much for everyone who has joined. To briefly recap the lesson, we're going to be talking about some fun facts, some common errors that are made in English. So I'm going to start with a couple of questions just to test your understanding. Then we're going to talk about some simple tenses, some sentence structures, perhaps recap some previous lessons which we've talked about. Then I'm going to talk about some common errors that are made from French people when speaking English. It's very easy to make a mistake, and our job here is to help you speak as fluently as we can. So let's start with our first fact. So the fact today is, what is the most common letter in English? So we're talking about every single word in the English language. What is the most common letter, do you think? Which letter is most commonly found in specific words? Hello, Aline. It's lovely to have you here. Aline, you're straight in there with E. So Aline thinks E is the most common letter. Hello, Ellen. Thank you very much for joining the lesson today. So we're just talking about the most common letter used in the English language. What do you think? So we have E, we have H, which Elodie has suggested. How about you, Jamel? Or Elaine? What do you think could be the most common letter in English? Okay, so most of you are saying E. I can in fact confirm that the most common letter in English is E. Fantastic. So when we write and when we learn words in English, almost all words have vowels in them. I understand in French you have 6 vowels. In English we only have 5. A, E, I, O, and U. I believe in French Y, Y is considered a vowel. It's not in English. There are some words, however, which are not required to have a vowel. For example, the word sky. The word sky has no vowel in, but of course we use it very regularly. If you can think of another word without a vowel in, please write it on the chat, as they're not very common. We always need a vowel to help us pronounce the word. So my next question is, what is the most common consonant in English? What's the most common consonant in English? Sorry, it's very difficult to type. What's the most common consonant in English? Spy, fantastic. Try, exactly. Anything that rhymes with sky. Fantastic, guys. Really well done. Okay, so for those of you who are unaware, a consonant is a letter which is not a vowel. So it's the other letters apart from A, E, I, O, U. So there are a lot more, so this may be more difficult. Okay, so we have some different answers here. We have R, T, L, S. Okay, I'll let a couple more of you attempt to guess. Okay, so when I first saw this question, I thought it was T. We use it very commonly, but I can tell you that the answer is in fact R. R is the most common consonant in English. Now, off the top of my head, I can't think of a word which is written with consonants. Sorry, a word which is just written with vowels. The majority of them use the two. So, for those of you who've just joined, today we're talking about common errors, common mistakes made in English. So, I want to start from the beginning and just talk about tenses. So today I'm going to be asking lots of questions, so it'll be fantastic if we had some involvement as normal. You guys are fantastic and you really do know a lot of your English vocabulary and grammar. So I'm going to test to help those who perhaps aren't as familiar and aren't as confident. So let's start with this. I'm going to write tense, for example, present simple, and I would like you to write me a sentence in the present simple. You can write about anything you want. The idea of this exercise is to just practice your sentence structure. So again, we always ask for you to write sentences. And for those of you who are watching the video in the future, if you can also take part in this exercise, and I will do my best to explain the correct structure and help correct anything that I see. So if you do have any questions or you're confused, please do ask as normal on the chat. Fantastic. I write a letter. Really good, Elodie. So for the present simple, we use the infinitive form of the verb, so there's no need to add a conjugation. I like your courses. Thank you very much, Liliana. That's a fantastic sentence. I like your contribution and I like teaching you all. Today, I learn English, or I learn English. Fantastic, Aline. That's excellent. I read a book. Excellent. Hello, Nadej. Do you have a sentence in the present simple? So there are some circumstances where we do need to slightly adjust the verb. Okay, so if we're talking about the subjects he, she, or it, it's very important that we add an S at the end of the verb. So for example, we can write he likes coffee. It would be incorrect to write he like coffee. We always say he likes coffee, she likes coffee, or it likes coffee. If we have a look at some other sentences, I play music, fantastic, Yannick. I drink coffee, I take the bus, I work from home. Okay, so you have a good understanding of the present simple. To make it a bit harder, I'm now going to ask for a sentence in the past simple, but I'm going to ask for you to use a particular verb because we have irregular verbs. And for those of you who are learning English, for the regular verbs, we just need to add the ed on the end of the verb. Okay, so for example, the verb to walk, we can say I walked to work. So here, to make this sentence into the past tense, we've added the ed at the end of the verb. Okay? So it is different with irregular verbs. Elodie has just pointed this out very clearly for you all. So Elodie is using the verb to eat. Okay? So in the present tense, we would say, I eat chocolate. I eat pasta. If we're talking in the past tense, it would be incorrect to say, I eated. It's not a word and it doesn't make sense. So unfortunately, when we have an irregular verb, we have a different spelling for that in the past tense, okay? So I'm going to have a look and see if there are any more irregular verbs. I can also help. If you could, please could you write me a sentence in the past simple with the verb write? So what is the past? How do we write in the past simple tense? Let's have a look at some other sentences we have. Hello, Caveron. Thank you very much for your contribution. Fantastic. Yesterday, I bought chocolate. So obviously, the infinitive form is to buy. Okay, j'achète. I buy. And the past is bought. Fantastic. That is irregular. Really good. Liliana, let's have a look. I decided to move to France in 2006. That looks really good, Liliana. There's no error there. It's a regular verb, so it's okay to add ed at the end. So Elodie is written, yes, that can be the case. I am from England, so I primarily focus on the English verbs. I ate pizza, fantastic, Elaine. I watched TV. I wrote, fantastic, Ellen. So the past of write is wrote. Yesterday, I wrote a letter. I wrote a book. Thank you very much, guys. That's fantastic. The next tense I'd like to quickly talk about is obviously the future simple. So I understand this might be very easy for some of you, but it gives you a chance to at least practice writing in different tenses. So let's just quickly see if we can write a sentence in the future simple. Hello, Hamza. Thank you very much for joining today. Fantastic, Nadej. I bought a book. So again, we're using the past of the infinitive verb to buy. I bought a book. Fantastic. So can you write me a sentence in the future simple? I helped to explain how to form sentences in the present simple and the past simple, but I just want to see if you can write me sentences in the future simple without any guidance. I understand that many of you have a really good level in English, but for those of you who are just learning English, perhaps try and write a sentence. Even if you're watching this video in the future, it will be a great exercise to just practice writing in different tenses. There's no problem with making mistakes, and we always learn from our mistakes. So let's have a look at some of the answers. Elodie has written, I will wait here. Fantastic, Elodie. I will write a letter. Fantastic, Elaine. She will call me tomorrow. I will practice my English. I will improve my English. I will go to the restaurant. So fantastic. You all have realized that to structure a sentence in the future simple, we need to have the subject I, then will, and then the infinitive form of the verb. So fantastic. I will practice. I will improve. Excellent. And we have a question from Naomi. After confinement, how do we say in English? So, excellent question, Naomi, and I'm really glad you asked that. So you can say, Naomi, after the confinement, I'll write this in the chat so you can see it too. After the confinement, I will see my family. You structured that really well, Naomi, and I would just like to add, for those students who are unsure what the I apostrophe LL means, it's a short version for writing I will. So instead of saying I will, we say I'll. You can use them interchangeably, and it doesn't matter which one you use. And I'm happy that helped, Naomi. If anyone else has any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. So I would like to quickly help explain a mistake that I see all the time with some students and when I speak to people in English. Some people, unfortunately, are not able to use the word funny in the correct terms. So please let me explain. I sometimes hear people explain activities, for example, going to the beach, as being funny. So, for example, they will say, "This weekend we went to the beach and it was really funny." I think there is a confusion between the word fun and funny. When something is funny, we're talking about laughter, being extremely happy, laughing at a particular joke or a particular situation. So, please could you help me write a sentence with funny in? Let's ensure that we all have a strong understanding of how to use the word funny. So, for example, I'll wait before I give my example because I'd love to see your contributions before. So, after the confinement, I'll go at the swimming pool. You'll go to the swimming pool. Fantastic, Hamza. It's very hot. I think I would like to swim too. So, we have another question. The difference between I'll going to and will, are both of them in the future simple? Yes, Hajar, it's a fantastic question. So essentially what we're doing is just writing I will in a different manner. So writing I will and I'll is exactly the same. So it is correct to say I will go to work and I'll go to work. Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much for your question. Yesterday I watched a funny film. Fantastic, Hamza. So a funny film is a comedy, the genre we call comedy in English. I think in French you have a comedy called OOS7, a parody of 007, OOS, I think it's called. That is a funny film. It's made to make people laugh. So playing is very funny. So here, Aline, I think it depends how you're playing. If you're playing in a manner which is fun, it's different to funny. If you are playing with something which makes you laugh, it would be correct to say playing is very funny. It will be fun to get out to the park. Fantastic, Liliana. Fun is more of a positive emotion. Again, so is funny, but we do use them in different circumstances. I think Hamza explained that very clearly. Fantastic, Elodie. Some video games are funny. He is a funny actor. Fantastic, Jamal. My son is very funny. Dancing is very funny. It depends on your perception. If you say dancing is very funny, it means that you laugh when you dance. Okay? So I hope that's clear. There's a question. Hamza has asked, can we use funny here, or we have to use comedy? So if I go back to your sentence, Hamza, you've written, yesterday I watched a funny film. You're absolutely correct in writing that, Hamza. It's okay to say I watched a funny film. If you wanted to use the word comedy, you could say, yesterday I watched a comedy film, a comedy series. Okay, so it's more of a genre we talk about with comedy. So let's move on. I hope that helps. Again, another common error is are plural words in English. For example, actually, I do apologize. I don't want to give an example because I want to test your knowledge and see what you understand. So, what I will do is I will ask you if you can think of nouns in English which are the same in their singular and plural form. Okay, so what I will do is I will give you one to explain the exercise and what I would like you to do. For example, a shrimp is a small animal in the sea which we often eat as part of a seafood. If you eat a seafood dish, for those of you who are unaware what a shrimp is, I'm unfamiliar with what the French is. If someone could help me write it on the chat, that would be very helpful. But the word shrimp we use for both one shrimp and for multiple shrimp. So, for example, if I show you with a diagram, Okay, let's say that this symbol is one shrimp. Okay, shrimp. Notice that the word doesn't change. When normally, if there's more than one, we need to add an S at the end of the word to indicate it is plural. Okay, so I've written one shrimp and 5 shrimp. Okay, so I can see that there aren't many comments on the chat. Perhaps this is a difficult exercise. So Hamza's written sport. Yes, fantastic, Hamza. You can say, I like sport. We do say sports. I play different sports if you play more than one. But it's an excellent attempt, Hamza. Okay, fantastic, Elodie. It's great to see you trying, guys, and it's very difficult because there aren't that many. We can say, I like fruit, exactly correct. We can also say there are different fruits on display. Okay, so I would like to quickly suggest and give you some answers. Fish is another word which is the same singularly and plurally. I could say I have 1 fish and I have 10 fish. Okay, I often hear people say, I went swimming and I saw loads of fishes. We just say, I went swimming and I saw loads of fish. Another word which is the same singularly and plurally is sheep. Now, on the topic of plural words in English, there are some irregular plural nouns. So nouns where we can't add an S on the end. For example, the word child, an enfant. What is the plural for child in English? Do we know the plural for child in English? So normally, if we have a noun and there's more of one, we add an S on the end. For example, this is a pen. If I have more than one pen, I need to add an S on the end to signify its plural, so I write pens. If we have more than one child, it's incorrect to say childs. As Hamza and Ellen have pointed out, we spell it as children. Fantastic. So there are some words in English which we can't add an S to signify plurality. So, do you know the plural for one person? How do we describe a group of this noun? How do we describe more than one person? How would we spell that? Okay, so we're talking about irregular plurals, words which you can't add an S on the end to make it plural. So child, we had to turn it to children if we're talking about more than one. And fantastic, thank you very much for your answers. The plural of person is people. You are having a lesson with one person, with me. I am teaching loads of people, loads of students. There's one of me, and there are many of you. Fantastic. Let's try one more. Woman, too. Elodie's just written the answer for me. Exactly. Woman and women. So woman is singular and women is plural. Fantastic, Elodie. You should be teaching these lessons instead. So I would just like to explain another common error that I see a lot of times when I'm speaking English with my French friends. So there is often a confusion between good and right. For example, someone said to me the other day, I'm logging into my email, but it's not a good password. Okay, if we're talking about being correct or incorrect, we need to say it's not the right password. It's either right or wrong. If something is good, it has positive connotations. For example, my students are good. They have a good understanding of English. They understand verbs. They understand different vocabulary. They understand tenses. If I said I have a good password, it means that it would be difficult to replicate. It would be difficult for someone to get it. So please do be aware if you're talking about something which is right or wrong, sometimes it is confused with good. I hope that helps. So false and wrong. It's a very good question, Elodie. False and wrong, they describe something which is incorrect, but we do use them in different circumstances. I could say it is wrong to be nasty to other people, and I could say this fact is false. So false is more for facts, and if something is wrong, it could be something. It could be more opinionated, but you can use them for the same circumstances. Okay, I hope that helps. So my next point is to talk about the differences between the verbs do and make. So this is a very common error, and it's very difficult to understand the difference between the two. In French, you have one verb for both of these verbs. You use the verb faire, but in English, we have two specific verbs for particular actions. So please, I will do my best to describe the differences, and then I'll ask you some questions to see if you understand the right context of when to use them. So fantastic, Hajar, you've written make a decision. When we talk about make, we talk about having something at the end. Okay, it's more of a physical process. For example, I make a cake. I make myself a coffee. At the end, I have something that I've physically put some effort into. We use make for foods, for drinks. We also use make for emotions. Okay, so my dogs make me happy. Okay, I could also say the rain makes me sad. We use make for emotions. We can also use make for plans and organizing. Let's make some plans. Let's make a date to meet. Okay, so these are it's a good rule to start with when you're thinking of which verb to use. So, Hajar, you've made a very important point here. You've written make a decision, which is correct. You've written do a plan. We often talk about making a plan. You've created a plan, as Nadej has pointed out. You've made a plan. It's something that you have written down and you've invested time into. Okay? Perhaps it would also help if I explain do and when to use do. So do is primarily for actions. We use do for verbs which are obvious. For example, we can say, I do my homework. Here, it's very obvious that we're writing or we're reading. Okay, there are only specific verbs we can use with this particular action. So I do my homework. My sister could say to me, I am doing my nails. What she means is she could be painting her nails. When she says she's doing her nails, I know she's not writing on them. So we have some fantastic comments, which I'd like to read. Liliana has written, I need to do the laundry. That's a fantastic example. The laundry is an action, and it's very obvious the action we're doing with the laundry. We're washing our clothes, we're cleaning them. Okay, so there it's correct to say, I need to do the laundry. I do cooking. Yeah, exactly. So cooking is an action. We make a cake, but we do the cooking. I will do the dishes. I will do the car. We say I do cooking, Naomi. So thank you for your question. And exactly, Liliana, we say we make the bed. Okay, so I hope that's clear. If you have any other questions on that topic, those are just some general guidelines to help you understand and learn which situation is best to use for each example. So you do your best. That's exactly correct, Hajar. You do your best. Okay, so we're coming towards the end of the lesson. I would like to thank all of you for joining today. For those of you who are watching for the first time, please do subscribe. We are on every working day at 3 p.m. And next week, we're going to talk about some business topics to help you learn some new vocabulary. So thank you again for your time and for your contributions. I hope you've learned something, and the team at Cercle wishes you a lovely weekend, and stay safe, everybody. Thank you.